And hello everybody here. I'm here with Jan and we're going to start looking at the Skylark. Skylark's one of Jan's planes here. It's been highly anticipated. It's part of the SRS team's builds here, and this is used for firefighting, has a bunch of cool features, and so let's go ahead and we'll take a look at the Skylark. Alright, so starting here on the captain side, nice numbering, nice paint scheme as usual from SRS. Really good detailing here. Have our main entry door there looks like a plug type door. Really good detailing on the engines here to kind of the hot section of the engine. Generally have these nice silver fronts because that's where the hot bleed air goes in for icing.
So you want to know a fun fact about the engines?
Sure, let's hear it.
They are not actually in the engine cowling.
Yes, I've heard that.
The engines are actually inside, and there's just props.
Yeah.
It allows me to cheat a little bit when it comes to handling of the aircraft, and doesn't change anything for the player. It just makes it feel more realistic. Well, I can do more realistic flight control system using this method,
Well, that's cool.
and I can make it a lot more efficient because I'm not constrained by the engine cowling.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, it's anything you can get to in the game to make things a little bit more realistic is nice. I like all the detailing, the little access ports and color details. Definitely kind of that spiky look in the back, like everybody's doing with their engine nacelles. Engines look really good. Nice connection points there. The wing looks really good. Good detailing on strakes and winglets. Got some nav lights there. Nice XML aileron. Looks really good back here. Let's check out the gear. Nice double bogey gear here, or a double truck gear. Looks nice in there. Good, nice well. Yeah, so right here at this bulge in the back, did you say this was access to something here?
So yeah, this is the water dropping part. So this is the sprays underneath.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and right over here we have the access panel for water refilling and refueling and ground power.
Oh, that's cool. So are these all your tanks, the R1s, L1s, all that?
Yeah. That's
Oh,
three
that's
tanks on the
cool.
right and left side. The
Service
red
light.
red ones are intakes. Purple is fuel and yellow is electricity.
Very cool. And so you have bleed air. Is that for the huffer cart?
No, that's actually to bleed the tanks out of the air once you're refilling them.
I got it. That's cool. Ground power. That's cool. Nice access port there. I'm going to close it up. All right, very nice. So let's continue back. We have another access door in the back. Good work on the tail. The tails are tough to get shaped. More, we could always use some more parts. Nice tail
Yeah,
plane.
I tend to cheat a little bit with the fins.
Yeah,
Just XMLing a fin. Actually, it actually has a lot of positive effects as well.
yeah. I like the looking at all the detailing on the tail there, like the little panels, for access panels for all your hydraulics, your jack screw, all that kind of the just the drawn-on detailing looks really good. I like that. It kind of reminds me of a 707, the little spike on the tail there.
Yeah, I get inspired by that. It's pretty much a mix of like so many aircraft at this point.
Yeah, that's how I do it too. Is I look at like, oh, that's a cool little feature, and you end up putting it on your builds. Is this simulating the APU exhaust on the back of the tail?
Hmm.
That's cool. All right, so it's pretty symmetrical. So let's go ahead and we'll jump up the air stairs here, as this is quite a tall aircraft, and we'll head on in.
There
So
are handles on every door, but it's easier to get inside this
very
way.
cool. So nice detailing in here. Let's see, what do we have? Lights. So let's
They don't work because
okay.
we have the battery off.
Yeah, we don't have the battery. Let's go in here. We have our tanks for the firefighting. Seen a couple planes online, like the was the DC-10 747 that have their tanks in board, which is pretty cool. Front entry section. They've been in a couple, cargo airplanes, and kind of has that good cargo airplane feel of kind of utilitarian look inside. Very nice. All right, let's go ahead and we'll get inside here. Oh, galley, nice. Mr. Coffee here. Nice looking galley. Very cool. What's that? What's that key button do? I don't want to touch stuff.
That's
Oh,
for
that's a
the
lav?
toilet.
Yeah,
Yeah, should probably name that.
very cool. Let's see. Sink, lights. So that's really cool. Let's go on in. Got a couple jump seats in here for hangers on. Which seat would you like me to sit in?
Uh, can be the pilot if you want to.
All right, let's
I'll
jump
just
in there.
assist.
All right,
All
sounds
right,
good.
I'll go disconnect the stairs.
All right, get that air stairs moved off. Call ground. We'll call ground or the ramp and tell them to push the air stairs back. They usually do it on their own. Usually don't have to tell them, so that's always nice. I'll just quickly go through the H menu while Yana's doing that. So 80 is roll, WS pitch, left right is yaw steering, up down is soft brake, thrust is 1 and 2, PTT push to talk is 3, thrust reverser is 4. Always good to see some buckets on there, and 6 is drop water. So keep that in mind. Go ahead and hide the controls. There's Jan driving off in the air stairs, or I think he just let it rip. It's it's on its own. See if
Oh,
that can end up in the water.
it's gonna get over. That's
There it
gonna be
goes.
fine.
There it goes. It's going in the water. I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
There we go. Bye bye. As long as I cleared the runway. All right. So walk me through the flow and the procedure, and I'll get flipping
Yeah,
switches.
so first let's get battery, then we need to get avionics.
All right.
It's very similar to the one on the avalanches you did before.
Yeah.
We can do like APU start
Yep.
or pros bleed start.
Nice startup screens and nice big monitors you can see. I like all the N1 and N1 N2 ITTs. So for those who don't
So
know,
yeah, we
yeah.
get two PFD screens, heads up. If you press the heads up, you can have like more detailed overlay
Mhm.
where it shows you the angle of attack, the outside temperature, vertical speed, and everything.
And I assume
Uh,
the PSI is your
that's
simulating
for
your
yeah,
bleed air
that's for fuel
pressure.
pressure.
Yeah.
No, that's for fuel pressure.
Oh, fuel pressure copy.
All right, so we can get the APU screen, and let's start the APU. So that should be right above your hat,
All right. Let me see. Right above my head. So
next to the lights, between the lights and the transponder.
okay. So there it is. So APU off. Turn that on.
And APU fuel pump as well.
All right. So those are coming up. Let's watch the APU. We got APUs coming up. You can see it climbing there. And so generally it would be like that. It's pretty realistic how it comes up is, it comes up slowly because you're using generally for an APU an electric motor to spin it. And then once it builds up enough pressure, you'll get light off, you'll inject fuel, kick the igniter on, and then it will spool right up. So that's
All
looking
right,
good.
so next up we can get, let's get the hydraulics. That's on my side here,
Okay.
above the avionics key. And let's get the ADARs. Now we can do the engines. So we want to do all the tank valves and engine pumps.
Okay, so I have, let's see, right tank valve, central tank valve, left tank valve, no cross feed, right?
Up to you.
Okay,
Doesn't
and then we'll
matter.
do fuel pump 1 and 2, and then we have
Then
no.
we need APU or bleed, which is by the batteries
Okay.
above the APU.
All right, so let's see. APU air bleed is on.
And now the engine mains are down here in front of the trolls.
Okay, so we have engine main 1, so we'll start 1. All right, so we see N2's coming up. N1 is also coming up. Generally, in real life, you'd be watching that to make sure you don't get a hung start. If the engine doesn't want to start, I've had a hung start probably once, where then you have to dry motor and blow all the fuel out of the engine so you don't start a fire, and it's a process. So for those who don't know, N1's your big front blade, and then your N2 is your compressor section. That's aft of the N1 section. Right? And the diameters are different, so that's why you'll get different speeds.
Alright, engine 1 green. We can
Alright.
start engine 2, or we can do cross bleed
Yeah, let's
start.
do a crossbleed start. So I'll do APU air bleed off. I'll do air crossbleed on, and then let's blow 2. So this is allowing us to start engine 2 with engine 1's crossbleed. So the way that you generally start turbine engines is you're blowing air over the blades. It starts turning them. And so you often have to start it with the APU or a huffer cart on the ground. And then this is cross bleeding, so we're using the air from engine 1 to blow 2. So 2's coming up. You can see the numbers
Alright,
rising.
I'll shut off the APU.
Okay, so APU can come off since we're doing a cross bleed. All right, looks like 2 is coming up and stabilizing. So it's climbing, and
Alright,
then you see where 1's
yep.
sitting. So,
Engine to green as well. Alright, that's set. I guess we should put on the lights. We should have done that before, but
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, we're at the gate. I don't think they won't.
Well, we should have had the beacon.
Yeah, beacon. I'm trying to find where. There's beacon right there. Beacon should come on before you start the engines. It tells everybody to not be too close to the airplane, because that's how somebody gets sucked into a turbine.
Yeah, now let's get our transponder on. So that's this screen in the middle, so you
Yep.
just press on the on key. You can set the squawk code as well, so 7000 should be fine.
Where is it at? Is it up top or is it down in the front?
Yeah, it's up there
Okay.
in the middle on top.
And it is on. You got it on? I can't see
Yeah,
really.
yeah, it's on.
Okay, good. And you want to? What do
Uh,
we want to squawk? We got a squawk, or just leave it as it as
just
is?
7000.
Alright,
That's like what is that? That's VFR in Europe, if not
I
assigned
got
other
you.
code.
Yep, that looks good.
Um, what else? I guess we can go over the MFD.
All right, let's do it.
So it is, I think, 8 or 9 pages if I remember correctly. So the first page is the HSI. You can see the D in the left upper corner.
Yep.
That's for the navigation waypoints, which we'll use for ADF and the autoland.
Okay.
So yeah, if you just go there right quick, we have like I divided it into the sections. So we have Sawyer, Meyer, Arctic, and the other that's the like islands that are not static on every seat.
I get you.
So you also need the add-on for that because it contains the radios with the GPS information and so on.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, we can set any location, any airfield, any approach. Some of them you can some of the approaches you can see have the GRN, which is like round,
Mm-hmm.
because some of the approaches have obstacles in the way of the approach, and like I could probably spend more time more fine tuning every single approach, but it can also really get determined by weather. So these are approaches that you should be flying manually rather than using the autoland, or just using the autoland as like something to guide you and then giving it manual inputs to adjust for the ground obstacles.
I get you. Yeah, like I know O'Neill has that mountain in front, and Harrison has it on one side.
Harrison is actually fine with the 3-degree glide
Oh,
slope.
okay, that's good. Yeah.
But I think the one in Meyer has literally like a rock like 1,000 feet in front of the runway.
Yeah. Something the
So
devs could fix at some point if they care to is make them realistic enough, put mountains on the approach path of runways.
yeah, on the other screen we have map. So you can press the map to move around. You can add waypoints. That's the buttons in the right upper corner.
Okay.
So that's A adds a waypoint, L clears the last waypoint, and C clears all waypoints.
Gotcha.
The ADF will add a waypoint that is selected on the HSI. So if I go, let's do Draymore. Let's go actually O'Neill, ATZ. And if I now press ADF, it will add a waypoint to O'Neill.
Nice. Yep, that looks good.
Right, so I'll reset this. Yeah, we can clear this. R just resets the location on the map. D is used for the transponder, so that shows transponder information of other vehicles that have my transponder system. I will be making a separate video explaining that in the future at some point. So it's a thing that SRS vehicles have, where they have transponders that interlink with each other, so
That's
this
cool.
can display information. They also get automatically displayed on the map.
Yeah, so like
Uh,
a traffic scope on there.
yeah. Yeah, and then plus minus, that's just for zoom, and GPS will show your current GPS location.
That's good. I like the color scheme too, the dark scale on it. Especially, if
Uh,
you're IFR
yeah,
aircraft, you're not really needing a VFR map, so that works out well.
on the third screen, that's the engine screen. So we have the N1, the NP, the interturbine temperature is simulated
Yep.
because, well, Stormworks engine temperature, especially in jet engine, is just weird.
Yeah, that's how I have to do it too. I have to simulate them all.
And then fuel pressure on either of the engines. The fourth screen has the APU, so we've already gone over that. It's pretty much the same, just for one engine.
Yep.
This is the fuel screen, so you can see which of the valves or pumps are
Yep.
open and how much fuel you have left in each tank. So this is in kilos. I think the conversion rate for stoneworks is that 5 liters equals 1 kilo.
Gotcha.
So you can do just multiply by 5 for liters.
Yep, that's pretty good. Yeah, that reminds me of like what ours looked like. Was we had what we have just pretty much two wing tanks, and then you could see all the valves, and then for us there was a panel right over the FO's head that had all your fuel valving, and you could generally leave everything auto, and then you have a cross bleed valve, which it looks like, was that the center blue or is that the red one at the bottom?
The red one on top is the crossbleed one
Gotcha, yeah, that
because we
makes
have it
sense.
chronically closed. Yeah,
Goes
and if
up.
we want to open that,
Yeah,
it will turn blue.
where's that? Let's open that. Yep,
Yeah, now
yep.
it's
So you
now
can
it's
see
blue.
now it's blue, and so that shows you that the fuel can go through there, and it's nice that it twists kind of. They tend to make these so they simulate real life. So like you would manually turn the valve sideways, so it does that. So it kind of just registers in your brain. Nice. So that's very nice. I like that a lot. And
So here
hydraulic pressure.
that's just the hydraulic. So we have 3 loops. B1 is electric, so it can be triggered even without the engines running. And then yeah, AC are just from the engines 1 and 2, and they can be pressurized from APU as well.
So what are you showing? What are those numbers showing? Is that
That's fuel pressure. I mean the hydraulic
hydraulic
pressure,
pressure?
not
Yeah, I think
just the
we were
maximum.
running, what were we running? 3,000 psi, something like that, if I remember right. But that's been a long time. So it's
Yeah,
yeah.
the way I simulated it, if you actually like um, don't have enough pressure, the control surfaces won't be as responsive,
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
and moving the control surfaces anyway will actually decrease the pressure. So if I pitch up, roll, and yaw at the same time, maybe we can get the pressure to fall a little.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's one thing that
okay,
would be tough to simulate because, if you have any wind in the game, it would screw you all up. But, for some of the planes, you get hydraulic droop, where like, say, your elevators would droop down until you prime your hydraulic system. And so, like,
oh yeah, oh yeah.
yeah, if you ever look at planes sitting at the gate, you'll notice that their elevators will droop down because you can tell those are hydraulic elevators because they don't have any pressure, so they just droop.
Or the same thing with like gear doors, for example. They usually tend to be down until you pressurize the system.
Yeah.
So here we have a ground radar, or well, more of a lidar,
Yeah.
since Sonos doesn't have proper ground
Yeah.
radars,
Yeah.
so we can change the range.
We used to use our weather radar. We would tip it down, and you could see when you'd hit the Great Lakes.
So it is just shows the ground. It can be pretty useful when flying in like canyons with
Yeah,
lower visibility.
definitely cool. I like that.
You can see it if you go into third person. You can see it on the front. It's the oscillating thing.
Oh yeah, I see it now. That's cool. Yeah, I saw that when we were doing the walk around. That's neat. Very cool.
All right, and the last screen is just the tail camera.
Yep, I actually just added one of those to Proteus. Makes it definitely easier to taxi having a little tail camera if you're at night to kind of have a little bit of view there. So that's really
Yeah,
cool.
and last thing on your left side, you can see there's like a frequency thing.
Yep.
That's a cam link. So I explained that in one of my videos. It's like uh, linking cameras to other vehicles so you can see their vehicles. So the Skylark doesn't have anything transmitting, but it can receive information. So you could have like a spotter helicopter,
Yeah.
over the fire or something, and then you can have a different perspective on the whole thing.
Yeah, that'd definitely be cool for firefighting. See where the fire is and kind of line up, and you know exactly where you're hitting.
Yeah, it can be pretty useful. Yeah, and then in the middle, just a simple radio. So we have like we can transmit on to active or standby frequency. We have like the radio mode, or we have intercom mode. Pretty simple.
Yeah, very cool.
And a beacon locator down here.
Okay, yeah, right there. Then we have our thrust reversers, I see.
Yeah, that's also on the hotkeys,
Yep.
or it could be triggered here. Yeah, here's the
Yes, that's
emergency beacon and beacon.
very cool.
Do you want to go over the autopilot already, or we can go over it in the air?
We can hit that in the air. It looks AP master looks like there. Change altitude mode, heading mode. We get confirm mode changes. VSI set. There's VSI. So I'm gonna switch up some of my systems to put in configurable VSI. Roll stab, ILS reset, autopilot toggle. So you've got one on there as well. I assume that's looped. And
Yeah, that's all.
ILS autoland. So yeah, that's cool. So yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, I guess we're done with the pre-flight.
All right. So let's go ahead and contact ground, and we'll get a taxi. All right,
Yeah,
so
so our registration is Golf Quebec Whiskey Charlie Foxtrot.
all right,
You can see it on the wings, it's on the tail, it's everywhere.
yep. Ground, there's Golf Quebec Whiskey Charlie Foxtrot. We're at the hangar looking to taxi for takeoff. Golf
Alright,
Charlie
yeah.
Whiskey Quick Fox. Go ahead and taxi to. And you said you have runway numbers, correct?
Yeah, so we have 23, this one is 0523, so I don't know which one you wanna go. It's up
Let's
to
see,
you.
we're 135, so let's say let's taxi to the right here. We have winds are calm, so we'll go ahead and taxi to the right there.
Yeah,
So,
so let's say 23.
all right, so that sounds good. And you have so what do we need? Brakes? We probably our lights are
Yeah,
set up.
that's we can do taxi lights as well.
Okay, taxi lights.
Taxi lights. We have also runway turn-off lights.
Okay.
When they're on, it forms like a nice little kind of flower if you look from the top. I really like that.
Yeah, that is cool having them angled like that. Yeah, it sets up a nice set of lights there. I like that. And then where's the brake? The parking brake?
Here in the middle above the radio screen.
Oh, I see it there. Let's see, where is it? Right there. Toggle parking brake. So light comes off. I'm gonna make sure I don't touch gear. One thing I might suggest is switch that toggle gear to a flip just so that you can visually see which is which. But that's...
I can't do that because the auto line has to be able to override the gear
Oh, I got you.
position.
Yeah, so it puts it up.
So
Yeah,
it
that
has to
makes
be a
sense.
toggle button.
That makes sense, yeah. That was something I was having issues with one of my builds where I kept accidentally clicking the gear, but luckily I put in a squat switch simulated on there so they wouldn't come up. But I was like, why is my brakes not coming off? I was trying to put the gear up. So, all right, so that's just a human factors thing, There was something I talked about in one of my videos on the Embraer. They put these little plastic covers over the engine start stops because people are trying to shut the igniters off and end up shutting an engine off by accident. So I'm just gonna spool just a
Yeah,
little bit here. Generally, you don't need in jets. You rarely need to even power up as you're taxiing because just the ambient thrust. So you have this pretty good where I don't really need to add any thrust and taxi. Of course, in game, people are going to probably want to taxi faster than they really should be, but, you know, uh,
Yeah, so the way the throttle works on this one, it's not like linear that the throttle, I mean, the thrust equals the position of the lever, so it's
yeah,
more dynamic. So you can like, if you want to accelerate faster, you just pull full throttle thrust, and then you decelerate afterwards,
I
and
get
it
you.
will maintain like that speed.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
because I was getting like mad at people who just put full thrust on the aircraft and then never lower it back after takeoff, and then just
Yeah,
flying at full speed the entire time. So it
yeah,
actually takes like a little while to accelerate to the full speed,
yeah.
which also makes it more realistic because you need the runway.
Yeah, that's what I like. Is I like, the one thing that's good with the game is you can make it as realistic or as arcadey as you want, and I definitely like realism. So this is really cool. Let's see. So, is it up or down? Gives you brake. Is it up? I think.
Up,
Or,
up.
yeah, yeah. So we just tap a little as I turn here. So
So this is brake steering, so I don't think you need to tap the brakes really because it
okay,
will decelerate as you turn
that
as
sounds
well.
good.
So we have no seal steering as well as the brake steering.
Yeah, Whiskey Charlie Foxtrot, we're at the end here at 3. We're ready to go. Whiskey Charlie Foxtrot, you're cleared runway heading up to 5,000 feet. Clear for takeoff. Clear for takeoff, Whiskey Charlie Fox. So we'll take off runway heading. We'll expect up to 5, and then we'll do an approach. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to start banging some lights on. You want to do your side? So we have landing lights, nav lights, strobes, no formation, cross feeds off. I think that's good on lights. Do we have a flap set for takeoff?
This doesn't have any flat
All right,
because
that sounds good.
frankly it doesn't need them.
Yep, so that sounds
It
good. So
produces so much lift that it doesn't
yeah.
even need them.
The taxiing feels spot on to me. Feels very much like taxiing a real jet. Like I can let it kind of, like took my finger off a while ago, and it stays on. It feels very realistic to how they are in real life. So that's definitely
All
nice.
right, I'll set up the autopilot. So 5,000 feet, maintaining runway heading. So 45. We can do this. Okay, the autopilot's ready, so you can just flip it on as soon as we lift off.
All right, sounds good. All right,
So
so
the Yeah, let me switch this to the engine screen. So the way I like to do it is put the brakes on, spool it up to about 12% on N1, and then release the brakes.
All right, that sounds
Because
good.
then you don't need as much of the runway.
All right, so that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna do a little static takeoff. I've got brakes held. I'm gonna start spooling. And so it's the 1 key, correct? There we go.
Yes.
It's coming now. And so there we go.
Alright, so
Start
gear
taking off brakes here.
7%,
Here we
yeah.
go. Set thrusts.
So rotate speed is around 110 to
Okay.
120 knots.
80 knots. V1.
Rotate.
Positive rate,
Right.
gear up. And we don't have it, but I'd say flaps up next. And I'll put the gear up.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
already
you
coming
did?
up.
Okay, good. So
So we can just press it one more time, it
there
will
we go.
come up.
Yep.
Alright, I'll turn on the autopilot. You can lower the throttle now so we can overspeed.
Okay. So thrust is coming back.
Switch taxi
What are you
lights
doing
off.
for a... So let's do... don't want to slow down that much. Coming back up. But we'll do... we need to do 250 below 10,000. So we'll bump up. Usually we'd climb out about 200 knots. So... And so this is when you do the... you do your climb checklist after you've cleaned up gear, flaps. We can go ahead and part of that climb checklist would be lights, so we don't need our landing lights.
I already switched them off, yeah.
Okay, and taxi lights we don't need; those are off. Yep. Okay, so takeoff checklist complete. So we're overspeed just a little bit here. We're just gonna bang it down a little bit to keep us under 250 before the man on the tower gives us a call. All right, that was a really felt like a realistic takeoff. I like that. That was acceleration was right on the money. The rotation felt right. I took it a little bit late just to make sure I didn't tail strike because I don't know the airplane yet, but that definitely felt realistic, and I like that. 5,000. We're leveling at 5. Nice. So let's so in real life, we'd have to bring back a little bit of power just because we're leveled off. So that feels correct to me. Where would you like to go in for an ILS?
For an ILS, my favorite approach is Harrison 2-3 because
All
it
right.
takes you over the entirety of like northern Sawyers.
Yeah, let's
So
do
yeah,
that
we
then.
can do that. So you want to set it up so we
Yeah,
can show you
2-3.
this
So let's
decision.
go ahead and
So you with the T.
let's get a vector here. So let's do I'll call
Yeah,
that a vector here. So we'll do a
sure.
right vector. We're almost on a 10-mile final for it anyway. So let's go ahead and turn right to let's see, what are we at here? 120. How about that?
Yeah, let's do that. So I'll change
All right.
heading 120.
All right, Whiskey Charlie Fox, turn right, heading 120 for the Harrison runway 23 ILS. Turning right, 120, Whiskey Charlie Fox. All right, so
So you want to do the auto land or manual ILS?
I'll do a manual for the first run. I want to kind of see. I like feeling how it feels. It definitely feels nice and realistic and like an airliner to me, so I like that. So.
Alright, so to set up the ILS, on the HSI press the T and we need to set up our approach for Harrison.
Okay, so T.
So
Runway
yeah,
23.
no, this is current multiplayer, so
Okay.
press the like arrow back
Okay, arrow back.
one more time.
One more.
And now you do Sawyer,
Sawyer. Okay.
Harrison,
And runway 23.
23.
Nice.
Yeah, and now if you press the T again,
Yep.
it will show you the HSI with the approach for that.
And
And if on the PFD, if you press in the left upper corner, like the gray rectangle,
yep.
it will show you
I
the
got you. Nice.
deviation for localizer and glide slope.
All right, so yeah, I'll just walk some people through this really quick. So, this is our ILS coming in, the final approach course. Is that right, 238? Is that the final approach course?
I think
No.
it's 225.
Okay, 225. Do we need to spin that in? On ILS, it should automatically do it, right? So that should be in.
Yeah, it will do
Okay.
it. So you wanna do a left turn for the approach. So on the map, you can see the approach is drawn from the runway.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
this is the line you're aiming for.
Yep. Yeah,
So let's do like a
let's
left
do a
turn.
reciprocal of 120, so we'll do 300 maybe.
Oh yeah, sure.
Charlie Whiskey Fox, let's turn left 300, left turn 300, Charlie Whiskey Fox. And let's see, how far out are we? We're probably, I don't know, 7, 8 miles. Let's see where, that's a
Yeah,
guess.
from the end of the approach, I
Okay.
guess.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think altitude. So maybe, what do you think? Down 2,000 probably be good for this. I don't want to have to jam it down.
Uh,
We should be fine,
the
probably
way the I
5.
So the ILS calculates the altitude at a given distance from the runway threshold.
Yeah.
For the autoland, it's clamped at 5,000 feet,
Okay.
which you will hit around 12 miles from the runway, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So we're currently, what is that, 19 miles
Yes.
from the
So we should be
runway.
good at 5, yeah.
So yeah, just maintain 5,000
All right.
until the glide slope tells you to descend.
Yep, that sounds good. So I'll talk to people through this again, kind of what we're doing. So I'll bring out the map. So I had us do a vector to the right. If we draw an imaginary line straight out from the runway, that's going to be our course. So it's like this. I gave us a vector to the right. We're going to vector back the opposite course. That should give us a nice little, a nice intercept course. We'll follow the ILS in. So these gauges that Jan had me press over here, notice this little pink chevron here. That's going to be our localizer. That's our lateral navigation. This other pink chevron, that's our glide slope. That's our vertical navigation. And so now we're coming back in on a vector. And what we'll look for is we'll see this green line on the right side. Right now it's at the top, but as this turn, it will come up on our right side. As that comes in, I'm going to try to join the final approach course. What do you say, 225s?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll start turning around 225. I'll try to keep that needle centered here. I'll also be able to use the pink chevron here to keep that centered. And then as we get close to glide slope, let's go another 20 left maybe. Charlie Whiskey Fox,
Sure.
go ahead and turn left to 280. 280
So
Charlie Whiskey Fox.
280.
Yeah, I just don't want to come in at too steep of an approach.
Well, we'll start seeing it. So,
Yeah,
on the HSI, you have the deviation marker. So I think every dot is 250
I
meters.
get you. Yep. So I'm going to back us down to 200 knots here. Generally, that is your kind of your approach speed to start the approach. Well, that's what, it depends on the aircraft, but, and then if we had flaps, we'd kick flaps. We're currently about 18 miles out, so we don't need to worry about gear. All we're doing is dragging out at that. Probably 10 miles. I want to be established, so I'll do, we don't have flaps in this, but I'll drop the gear at 10, I would say. So we'd usually brief the approach, so we're doing the ILS runway 23. We're coming in on our final vector here. We're expecting the course in. Keep an eye on that. We'll say glide slow or say localizer live. Here comes localizer
All right,
live.
it's coming
All
in.
right,
So
I'm gonna kick the
225.
I kicked the
Oh,
autopilot
okay, you're gonna
off.
fly it manually.
Yep.
Sure.
And so I'm turning left here to 225. And so I'm grabbing it here. 225. I need a little bit more here. There we go.
So on the PFD, every like the line marker is
Yep.
50 meters, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, and on the HSI it's
All
250
right, good.
meters. So the PFD is just more like precise for fine tuning the
Yep.
localizer.
And so as you see, I went a little bit to the left, the 225. That's because I went through the course. And now as you see, it's gently coming back. And so now I'm going to start gently coming on 225. And I'm just going left and right, kind of keeping it. I'm letting myself descend just a little bit, which isn't a big deal. All right, so you notice that green line is starting to line up, so that's lined up. We're good there. The pink line, as you can see in the middle on my PFD, is coming in. So now I'm turning right 225. We have 0 wind. If we had some wind, I'd have to account for that, but we're good. So see the green line's lined up. The center pink line is lined up. We're lined up. We're looking for the glide slope to come alive. That's going to be our next call. I really like how you have the pink line in the middle of the pink circle too. That really makes it kind of nice to be able to get it right on the money. So we're within about, a degree off to the left, but that's not bad. We'll just continually correct. And so we're just waiting for a glide slope. So let's see, we're 13 miles out. So we should be expecting that probably in a little bit here. So I descended just a little bit, just down to 3. I'm gonna maintain my altitude now. So just kind of learning this definitely feels like a realistic jet to me, and so I'm kind of just feeling it out, seeing how it feels, so that I know what I'm doing as I get closer. Trying to maintain, as you can see, really nice speed control on this. I'm within 1 or 2 knots of where I want to be, so that's good. All right, and so we're just kind of moving along here. So I'm going to try to maintain 3 now. I just dropped a couple just to be sure that I was going to make it. So you notice pink line here is lined up. That's our course. Pink line there is lined up. And we can even look at the map and see we're on course. So just going to get busy in here. So that's why you see I'm a little bit left of course. So I'm going to start correcting. Just need to get my camera just right.
What's your altitude you're descending?
Okay, thank you. So that's one of the reasons you have 2 pilots is to call things out like that, altitude, and they will tell you to correct your altitude. So we'll pretend that ATC had us descend down to 3. Sometimes you stay up at 5. You know, sometimes they bring you down a little closer, 2 or 3, get you in there. Depends on the airport, depends on what you have coming around. Like when we go into New York, I'm correcting. And so, you know, one thing you do to kind of, you know, tell the other pilot you're getting back on course. That's why I said correcting is I'm off course, saying correcting, altitude, say correcting. That tells them that you know that's happening and that you're going to fix it. So just gently going left and right, keeping my course here.
All right, here's the glide slope coming in.
Glide slope's alive. Okay,
We're
copy that.
7 miles. I'll drop the gear down.
Thank you. All right, so we're starting to drop down here. I'm going to start slowing down to final approach speed. What do you like on this? 130, 120?
140, 130.
All right,
Yeah, should be
140. So
fine.
let's start dropping. Need to watch my localizer here. Letting my localizer get off, but not by much. People tend to over control. You don't want to over control.
All right, watch the speed.
Yep, correct.
It's coming down.
There we go. Coming up on speed. Thank you. So that's why you have two pilots in these aircraft.
All right, that should be good.
So I'm going to level.
I'll settle it for
Okay.
140 for you.
Yeah, set thrust for me, thanks.
Watch altitude, you're below glide slope.
I am now leveling off for glide slope. You don't climb back up, you level. So we're going to pitch level. I'm going to re-catch. I need to catch that localizer again. I'm over controlling a little bit here just to try to feel the plane out. And I'm going to try to level, so. And there we go. So you don't want to over control. Like you notice I'm making small corrections for my heading. Don't want to over control it. That's when you get into problems, is you chase. They call it chasing. You end up chasing your needles. You don't want to chase your needles. You know, set a correction, leave a correction. So you notice I have 1 to 2 degrees to the left. That will cause that pink localizer to come back. Glide slope's coming back in. I leveled off. I don't want to climb up to my glide slope. Now I'm going to go back to about 225. And I'm going to try to keep good heading management here. So I'm going to keep that pink line on. The closer I get to the airport, the more I want to be right on. So my glide slope, I'm still a little low, so I'm going to keep level here. Localizer is lined up. We're good there. Gear is down, 3 green.
All right, 1000.
Can you click on landing light and for me?
Sure.
And just
landing
run
lights on.
Yep, so we simulate a landing checklist. You know, landing lights on, gears down, flaps are set. Let's see, Charlie Whiskey Fox, you're clear to land runway 23. Clear to land runway 23, Charlie Whiskey Fox. The way we do lights, I am visual, but I'm going to continue on the glides on the ILS here. Just correct that. I'm looking inside. I haven't looked outside. Yep. And so the runway is in sight. I'm not going to do it till we get to minimums. So we'll say 200 feet is minimums on an ILS. So we're at above field elevation. So we're about there. Minimums. Runway's in sight. Landing. And so I'm aiming at the 2 big squares. Those are my aiming bars. Start bringing power back, power back, power back, power back, power back. Up a little bit taller than I thought it was. There we go. And there we go. So I'm going to let it run all the way to the end of the runway. 80 knots. You call that out. Now it's no longer high speed. We're going to let this go all the way to the end. So I'm going to leave just a hair of power in just to expedite. But, yep, that came in really nice. Flies really well. I love the ILS. Is really well done. And we'll just get off at the end here. Charlie Whiskey Fox, go ahead and turn left at the end. Left at the end, Charlie Whiskey Fox. And you can contact ground point 9 or Charlie Whiskey Fox. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll taxi off the end here, and I think we'll have Jan fly a little to show me this auto land. That sounds good.
Sure. We can just take off, do 3, then do like a right turn and turn into multiplayer.
Yep, sounds good to me. So I'm just giving a little bit of power to get off here. All right, and we can spin around, take off this way if you want. What do you want to do? Does that work for you, or?
Let's actually taxi around all the way to 3, so we have the we have more distance, because this way we would be put directly on the approach
Yep,
right
that
away.
sounds good to me. All right, so everything feels really, it feels right, which is nice. Like, especially you get a little bit of that because of the way the pixels work in game. It's a little bit more challenging to keep it on glide slope, but you notice like I was, for me, it's like constantly correct, 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 and you notice we were lined up at the runway the whole time, so it's, that's how it is in real life. Is you think you're way off the whole time, but you're really, it's very precise. So it definitely had the feeling of a real ILS. It was really good. But the distances seem right, the speeds seem right, everything functions, it flies well. The only thing was me kind of trying to figure out. So one thing you have to do when you switch airplanes, I'm slowing us back down here. Just tap
We'll
some
do some
brake here.
breaks.
There
Yep.
we go. And so, one thing as you change different airplanes, you notice that how high the airplane sits. So I had a little bounce there. I was right on the aiming bars, but it's just not knowing how high off the ground the aircraft sits. So this is just something you get used to. But definitely, it feels perfect. Feels really good. Feels like it should. But this is why you have two people in a jet too. Is there's just so much going on, and so like when Jan was telling me that my speed was getting slow, that's what happens the entire time. There's actually something called sterile cockpit in airliners that under 10,000 feet you can't talk about grocery shopping or your kids or anything like that. You talk about just what's going on in the airplane. And so that's why you do it. Is you notice I was getting slow, off course, glide slope. He was telling me to watch my altitude. These are all things that constantly go on, so that you need those two people. So we're gonna hold short at the end here. You want to kick that brake on for me, and I will.
Yep. Sure.
All right, your airplane. Do you want to fly
All
from
right.
this seat or
My
that
plane.
seat?
I'm fine flying from this
All right,
seat.
and I'll do the radio as I would. So, all
All
right,
right. Golf Quebec Whiskey Charlie Foxtrot. Holding short of 2-3, requesting permission for takeoff.
Charlie Whiskey Fox, you're cleared to take off runway 23. Climb, maintain runway heading up to 5,000 feet.
All right. Climb
Okay.
and maintain 5,000 feet. Clear for takeoff. Golf Quebec Whiskey Charlie Foxtrot.
All right, altitude's 5 and headings in.
All right.
All right, I'll do a quick takeoff checklist. Flaps are set. Lights are coming on here. We have landing lights are coming on. Taxi lights will kick on too. All right, takeoff checklist complete.
Right. So let's do full throttle. Let's wait for the 11%.
All right, thrust set.
All right, there we go.
.80 knots.
All right,
V1.
we on. Rotate. Positive rate, gear up. So that's also a funny thing I did. I simulate the like hydraulic pumps sound when you put the
Yeah,
gear
I
up
like
or
that.
down.
Yeah, it sounds good. I like the transit lights as well on the gear.
All right, should be good for spin.
Right.
Let's do like a little turnaround
Yep.
so we have some more clearance from the approach.
Yep.
So the way I've done the ALS this time, you can essentially begin the approach at any distance as long as you're like within. You will need at least like few miles, so there's time to align and everything. But like there's no upper limit of where you start the approach.
Copy.
So it will like hold an approach course to the localizer, and then it will automatically establish the localizer, the glide slope, everything. It will put down the gear, it will stop automatically, everything.
That
So
sounds good.
basically from the point of starting the autoland, you don't have to touch your controls
That's nice.
until you're on ground.
You want me to give you a vector here?
I don't think we need it.
Okay.
Let's just see how we're on the map. I'll just fly this manually
All right,
for
sounds good.
now. Yeah, let's get some distance. We're like what, 9 miles now, so let's get 12 miles approach. Should be enough.
Yep, sounds good. Yeah, it's
So yeah, I'll
definitely the auto.
climb and maintain 5,000, and then we'll do it.
Yep, sounds good. Yep. So we're 2 off 5 and 5,000. Normally we'd call it 4 for 5, but I forgot to look. We used to have, we called it the train horn. It sounded like a train horn would go off when you were within 1,000 of your set altitude. We're still climbing. You have that on?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. There we go.
All right, let's do a right turn. More just it can do it automatically, but just
Yeah.
to ease it a little bit, so we don't have to make more turns around.
Yeah.
I'll just put it in the general direction of the runway and then turn on the auto land, and it will handle the rest itself.
Yeah, even the real systems didn't like, it was always better. You give it a reasonable intercept angle. It liked it a lot better than if you hammered in, a 90-degree intercept angle. It always was wobbly, where if you put in like you manually set it, was always nice. So that's realistic as well.
All right, it should be fine enough. Auto land on, autopilot on, and now it will do all itself.
All right. So,
Something glitched with the gear.
okay.
Fuck. This doesn't happen usually.
All right.
Are we on medium or high physics, or how are we on
We
physics?
should be on high.
Yeah, that's weird that happened.
Let me double check.
Yeah, no, that landing gear will keep screaming at us the entire approach.
Right.
I'll just put it down so it shuts up.
Yeah, physics high. That's weird.
Yeah, something glitched
Okay.
badly during that
See
turn.
if...
We might have to
Yeah,
respawn.
you got damage on your left gear. All right.
Yeah.
I'll drag
Yeah,
it in.
let's respawn.
Yep, sounds good.
Because there's not much we can do about this
Yep,
now.
let me grab it and we'll bring it back. So that's more a game thing, I would say. It looks like the gear grabbed on the door. So
Yeah, it does that. I thought I fixed it, but apparently not. It was happening, but like with the gear cover hitting, colliding with the wing.
yeah.
So I had to XML like the very edge of it, so it doesn't have a collision. Apparently, I didn't fix it. Well, let's quick start this. We'll just
Yep.
do. We can do like what's like the easiest? Yeah, we can do another 0.5, just ILS this time.
Yeah, it sounds good.
All right, so
Yeah, we're
wing
nice and
battery.
we're right on top of that, so you just do it. I'm just gonna click some. I'll let you quick start it up. Say you're a lot quicker at it than I am.
Engines, APR bleed.
To put it in perspective for people, when you switch airplanes, you're in the schoolhouse for at least 2 months.
I
So,
know, yeah, I know it from my experience as well. When I was
yeah,
switching from the two-seater gliders to the single-seater glider, it was like 20 hours of flying
yeah,
before I get like certified.
yeah. We
And
had,
that's a glider. That's a simple plane. They
yeah,
all handle the
exactly.
same.
Yeah, we used to have to do. We did ground school for. It was at least 2 to 3 weeks, I think, and then you would do the sim, and you're in the sim for some weeks, and then you would do your check rides. And then once you were done with the schoolhouse, you went to, they call it IOE, Initial Operating Experience, and you'd go out with a captain who was, a check captain, and they would have to fly with you for 25 hours in the airplane. And, like they told me, 5 hours, like, you're all set, but we need to do another 20 hours. And then if you had less experienced people, they were having to do more than 25 hours. But, you're that's what it takes to get used to one of these. So if anyone is looking at this and they're kind of daunted by the procedures, this is it's reasonably easy to us because we fly, and that's to be expected. It just takes practice and getting used to it.
Yeah, but it is also a game. Like
Yeah.
this is really simplified over what a real one would have.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one nice thing with the auto land is like I never wanted to use Autoland in real life because that was like, you're flying around for 4 hours, you're bored, and all you want to do is land the plane and fly the approach by hand. And so it's
Yeah.
like, but it's great for the game as, somebody who might be interested in the stuff but not understand how it works. It's very hard to set up your own vectors if you don't understand how an approach works. So it's nice that your plane kind of does it for everybody. And, they can enjoy that feeling of being in an airliner without having to worry about, actually having to fly it manually. All right. So we're taking off here. Just release the
I'll just
brakes.
do a
Yep.
shorter takeoff. Should be still fine.
Yeah, I think we're fine here.
Hopefully we'll not hit that bump on the
Yeah.
end. I'll
80
get a little bit
knots.
earlier.
V1. And we'll get off here.
Yeah,
Once we get over the water, we're good. There we go.
Alright, positive rate, gear up.
All right.
I'll start doing the approach right away.
You want to leave the gear down? Oh, yeah, you got it. Okay, good.
Yeah, I'll put it up.
Yeah, just with multiplayer, I can't tell if you press it or not. So.
Alright, so we have the approach selected. The approach for Harrison is right of us. So let's do like speed. Let's do like a little left turn and then turn around to right.
Copy, copy.
I'm gonna give it some more distance so I don't have to do as sharp of a turn and risk damaging the plane. Well, actually, this gives us time to show off some warnings.
Oh, yeah. Uh-oh, bank angle, bank angle, bank. I've heard that before.
So that's one.
That's good.
Let's go the throttle. We have enough altitude.
See if we can't get a stall in there.
That's a pretty sharp stall.
Yep, here we come. So we should be approaching stall now. There we go.
Still speed.
There's our stall. You can see the nose dipped hard, so that's pretty realistic of the nose dip. There's stall. Yep. And lower the nose below the horizon. Add some power. Break the stall. Stall's not broken yet. And we're starting to get off. Breaking the stall now. There we go. Stall's broken. Now you can just gently bring the nose up. Yep, but that all looks
stall
realistic.
Warnings.
Yep.
Bank angle warnings.
Yep. Looks and feels realistic.
Alright, we're at 9 miles. Should be enough for the auto land. Let's turn around.
Do we have water on board?
Yeah. We can press 6. I will drop it.
And there you can see, yep. Doors open up. Water comes pouring out there for firefighting. That's very nice.
This is enough water for like 6 or 7 minutes of continuous loitering time.
Nice. You got the localizer live. Go through it a little bit here.
Yep. Passed it a little bit. That's fine though.
Yeah, I'll come back around and grab it. You can drop your speed too if you want. Probably. Might be a little.
Yeah, the autoland will manage the speed.
Oh, does it do it as well? Oh, nice.
Yeah. Will probably force us to climb as well because way I don't know, I have it set up. It actually climbs if it's below the approach. It doesn't just hold it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember if ours chased it. If you put it on nav ILS, it would grab it. I can't remember. I think it did chase it up as well. I think that's the computer always wants to go back up because it doesn't know what you've been cleared to do. Once you've been cleared the approach, you as the human know that you're cleared the approach, so you don't need to climb back up. The system, all this computer knows is beyond. Glide slope's alive. Localizer alive.
The autopilot is on, so now it will handle all by itself.
All right. And so it's correcting for the localizer. It's captured the glide slope, it looks like. And here comes the localizer again. So it's capturing the localizer, and there we go. There we go.
So it's pretty precise. It is error for the localizer about a meter at most. It can land on its own up to like 30 knots crosswind pretty easily.
Yeah.
Above that, you have to interfere a little bit with the yaw to adjust for the crosswind. Yeah, so it's perfectly aligned. We can just put the legs on the table and do nothing.
Yep, very nice. And I'm gonna turn the landing light back on. Gears down, lights on. Landing checklist complete. Yep, so this is this is how you do it in real life. You've set it up and I put a little fog on here. Let's here, you got auto land on, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna override the weather. I'm gonna leave the wind off, but I'm gonna up the fog here, and we'll add a little snow. I'll do like 30% fog. I don't want us to go below minimums, but I'll do like 25% fog. I'll sock in a little snow, and so in real life, you wouldn't be able. This is what it's like: is you can't see anything, the whole way in, and then so your minimums are 200 feet above field elevation. So we're talking, I don't know, what 275 maybe on this airport, and so that's what it would look like. And so like right now we can't see anything outside. This is what it's like in real life: is you're completely socked in the weather, and generally as you're coming down about 300 feet, you can see the approach lights because they're super bright. They turn the intensity up when you're down at minimums. And so once you see the approach lights, you can continue down to 100 feet. And so you see the approach lights, you call out approach lights, continuing. And then once you see the runway, you say runway in sight landing. And then if you don't see the runway, so here we are, we're looking for it. Runway's in sight,
Yeah, runway
landing.
inside.
And so that's how it's going to look in real life. This is actually probably above minimums, a little bit more snow and fog. Perfect, right on the squares. It knows better where the gear is than I do. So very nice.
Yeah, so now we just disable the autopilot, turn off the auto land, and we have to reset it for next landing,
Yeah,
and that's pretty much it.
yeah. So very cool. So it works both well as automatic and manual. Sometimes people they make their craft that work really well automatically, but when you try to do it manually, it's tough. This works well both ways. You know, of course, mine was a little bit more. I was off a little bit more, but that's also I'm trying to do it with keyboard and mouse too. Get much more granular control with yoke.
Yeah, and we can do shut off, so
All right.
one of the engines off. Lights off.
I'm just gonna click lights
Oops.
cockpit. I like how they gently come up when you
Yeah, you
first
can
go.
also change the brightness so it changes into
Yeah.
green for nighttime.
Oh, that's cool. So you just go if you go all the way down. Will it
Yeah,
up?
yeah,
I'm clicking the which way? Which way?
yeah,
Forward.
yeah.
Okay, there we go. Yeah,
Yeah, it's coming green.
that's cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. That's cool. And then let's look at some. So main battery aux. I like the all the lighting on that. Let's see. Fire suppression. We won't click that. That's if your engine was on fire. Cabin temp. I'm just looking at your side stuff that I didn't see.
Yeah,
Yep,
and
there's
then here's
cabin
and the
controller,
eyes.
anti-ice. Yep. So generally in turbine aircraft, you'll have a lot of anti-ice stuff because you've got plenty of hot bleed air that's at like 300 degrees. So that's like I was talking about with the engines being silver. That's because any of the silver stuff, front of the wing, silver stuff engines, they put hot air through there to keep the ice off. But very cool. You got your oxygen mask up there where it should be, where you can easily reach it. Side stick, very cool. So I like
Yeah,
this. I like this plane a lot. It flies well. It flies correctly. Feels like a big, heavy airliner. It doesn't feel like you're flying a shorts or not a shorts. I can't remember the name of the biplane, the little aerobatic plane that everybody's planes feel like. Um, but this
yeah.
feels,
I think I know what you mean.
yeah,
I don't remember the name
yeah,
either.
yeah.
It doesn't feel like let's say it just doesn't feel like an extra.
Exactly. It doesn't feel like an extra. It feels like an airliner should feel. You know, it bangs correctly. I really like the way you've got the throttle set up. One thing that it is realistic is you need breakaway thrust. Like when we'd start taxiing, we'd have to go up to like 60 to 70% thrust just to get started, and then you bring it all the way back to idle and you coast the rest of the way. And so you need like it takes you a little while to get started, and then it feels right. You're actually using the runway lengths, which is nice to see. Which normally they take off in 20 feet, and it's like, ugh, this doesn't feel right. But really great detailing in here too. I'm gonna have to steal your little sliding rudder pedals. That's what they look like in the Embraer. Was we had like electric rudder pedals, and so you had like this circular housing, and then your rudder pedals, and they would slide forward and back, and then you have your seat tracks there because you could slide your seats forward and back. Um, really nice detailing in here. I like this a lot. So this is really cool.
Yeah, well, thank you for reviewing it. I'm glad we could get this done.
Yep.
I can't wait to release it in what is it, 2 days now,
Yep.
at the time of recording. So
Yep. And so
Yeah,
you
thank
said
you again.
Christmas
Um,
Eve, 2022, correct? So the 24th?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so this will be out the 24th as usual. Like, Jan always has a good workshop page, so it's going to be complicated, but just read the workshop page, read the instruction manual, and you should be fine. And I think this is going to be a fun aircraft for everybody to use, and I look forward to it coming out. So thank you, Jan.
Yeah, thank you as well.
All right, we'll see you guys later. Thank you for watching.